Okay, so I think I'll share my screen. Maybe I won't do the camera, but I will share my screen. Um, okay, so we're learning about Updraft today, and let me see which screen I want to share. Probably this one. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so can you see my screen probably? It looks like it, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So have any of you tried Updraft yet? I think you did, Unai, right? You tried and failed. So
Exactly, yeah.
so you tried and you tried to create a passkey, and then it was saying something weird about that. So I'm going to try to create a passkey account right now just to see what happens. So I really want Updraft to be usable by people who don't know anything about crypto. And so I think most people understand passkeys or have maybe used them before, maybe not. They're definitely becoming more common. So I'm going to try to create a passkey account right here. Okay, so that's what it should look like, Unai. So did you see that? How it just created this account? I typed in my password depending on what type of your device you're using. If you're using like mobile device or yeah, you might it might ask you for a fingerprint or face recognition to create this account. But then it creates an account, and so now you have this wallet, and then you can look at your profile. And so, anyways, so that didn't work like that for you. Okay. Anyways, so now I don't have any with my new account. I don't have any UPD. UPD is the token that you use to use this, but you can get free UPD from the Discord. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get some free UPD. Um, I guess I can show, maybe I can show my Discord screen as well. I don't know. Might not work since we're on Discord, but I'll try it. So let's see. Let me go. Um, do you guys see my Discord now? Yes or no?
No.
No?
I'm seeing your browser
Not
still.
yet. No.
It only shows the browser. Okay. Hmm. Maybe we'll just stick with that. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can share. Let's see. Let me see if I can change it to something else. So applications, entire screen. Let's try entire screen. There we go. That might work better. Okay, so now can you see my Discord?
Yes.
Okay, good. So here, this is our faucet for Updraft. The way it works is as people use Updraft, it takes a 1% anti-spam fee. There's certain actions in Updraft that if you do them, you have to pay this 1% fee just to make sure that there's not too much spam on there. And then it goes into this pool that everybody can get their share of once a week. And so I'm going to take my this that I just created, and I'm going to copy that and go back to the Discord and paste it in. And then now I can get free tokens. So I just wait a little while and I'll get the free tokens. And while I'm waiting for the free tokens, I'll just explain why Updraft exists and what it's for. So let's see. Let me go back. Yeah. So Updraft is a way to fund ideas and to put your ideas up and see what other people think of them. And you lock tokens, those UPD tokens that I showed, to show your support for ideas. And as you lock your tokens, it increases this thing, which looks like a fire symbol. And that's the interest, like the public interest in it. So you can add your support, it locks up tokens, and then it increases the interest. And so what's interesting about ideas on Updraft is that they're not really like anyone can put them up, but they're not really owned by that person. They're meant to be shared by everybody. And so if you come in and you support an idea, then you become like a co-owner in that idea. And so you also get to, by showing your support, you can actually earn from other people that lock tokens later. So right now, if I support this, I don't have any funds, but so this one has supporters. People have supported it in the past. And if I were to support it, it's going to tell me that I have 0 right now. But if I were to support this, then I would, then some small percentage, and it says right here, 10% funder reward. This goes to previous contributors. So let's say that I donated or supported with 44. So 90% of that is locked that I can withdraw at any time. And then 10% goes to these people that already supported it. It's split proportionally to how much they supported with. So this is a way to basically get rewarded for surfacing ideas or just supporting cool ideas that later are supported by more people. So if you're early and you support an idea, you can earn. So you might end up, so maybe like I deposit 44, but maybe when it comes time to withdraw, I withdraw like 84 or something like that. So I could actually earn money. And just because of like the natural way that the math works, because new supporters are always earning from later supporters, it's your return is always you're never gonna make more than 4 times what you put in, because like people after you are gonna start earning the funds that you could have earned. So there's kind of a natural cap on what you can earn. So you can't really go crazy with this, but if you're finding cool ideas that helping other people discover them and they're putting their funds in afterwards, then you can earn. So those are ideas. And then the interesting thing about Updraft is it splits ideas and solutions. And so if there's an idea, let me look for some solutions on here. So like here's a solution for this. So there was an idea, and then any number of people can create solutions, and the solutions are kind of saying like, okay, I know how to solve this idea. So like so let me find maybe a better example. So let's see. So here is team formation and Updraft. I guess we were just looking at this one, but let's say that I know how to build this. Then I can request separate funds to actually build this thing. So I can say I can pick the token I want, and to request the funds in, it can be any token. So like this could be bread, for example. And then I say how much I want, put a deadline. I can put a stake. The stake is going to be in UPD, but the cool thing about the stake is I can attract funders by saying, okay, if I don't reach my funding goal by this deadline, the stake will be split among the people who did support. And then I can also, that's the way that we had that percentage before. 10% was going to earlier supporters of an idea. You can also do the same thing with solutions. So you can set it to 0 if you don't want to do that, or you can set it like really high if you're crazy and want to like give most of the money to your funders. But like usually you want like a small amount, maybe if any, and you want to keep most of that actually for the solution. So any questions so far about the basics of like what Updraft is about? I'm gonna check on my.
Can it be for like any idea, any project?
Yes, absolutely anything. There's no limit at all. So
Okay.
what we do is we use tags. And so like let's say that you wanted some idea, like you wanted to build the stacks protocol for bread or something, and you had maybe you wanted to divide up the work then you can create a new idea and you can enter tags. You could enter like bread and you could enter like stacks. And so you can put, and you could be like front end or something. So you can use that to kind of help people find it based on tags. And then you can put your description, your name. This is your initial deposit. And like I was showing before, because anyone kind of can co-own the idea, your initial deposit is just like your stake that you're locking in, and that determines how much you could potentially earn. So, like I said, the sweet spot is like 4x. So actually the best thing you can do, and I showed this in a blog post on this, but what you should try to do is try to estimate how many more people are going to come after and put a fourth of that. Because if you put too much, then people will be like, they already got enough like deposits, or there's already been enough interest in this idea. I don't need to add my interest, and I can't earn anything because there's already too much in there, and I don't think there'll be much coming after. So you want to kind of leave some room for other people. So you don't want to overwhelm it. So like, let's say that you thought that there was going to be 40,000 UPD from various people coming in eventually to this idea. If it became popular enough, then you could put in like 10,000, and then that leaves room for other people. So yeah, so that's how you create an idea. And then there's these things called campaigns. And this is a way for like a larger funder, like maybe a DAO or an ecosystem fund, to create a focal point. So if they want to, here, let me open up the guide, because I think the guide shows this a little better. So the user guide shows for campaigns. So this is something else that I'm working on called Aura. So I can create a campaign and say I'm going to commit 100 million UPD for ideas and 200 million UPD. And these can be other tokens, by the way. They could be like bread tokens or whatever. 200 million UPD for solutions. So you could be like, okay, I'm going to commit this much bread to build stacks. And then as people come in and they're like, okay, well, I have some ideas of like how I could contribute to stacks. There's this stacks campaign that we want like people to build stacks. So then they come in, and when they create their idea, they pick the campaign. So they would be on here, it'd be like bread stacks or whatever. And they pick it, and it'll automatically put in the tags. And then they just say like, okay, this, like, I know we're going to need this. Like, this is going to be really important. Here's my idea. And then that idea gets boosted. As it gets boosted, then other people, so like anyone who looks at this will then see like, here's the ideas that different people had. And so I'm going to, like I can actually implement this one. So I will come in here and I'll create a solution. And like I said, multiple people could create solutions for the same idea. But so now that they've seen that there's lots of support and potential funding behind an idea, they can say, okay, well, I know how to implement it. Here's my solution. And then we make it easy for people to fund the solution. It could come from this like pre-committed amount at the end, but it can also be other people just funding it along the way. And then at the end, it gets funded by the larger funders. And that's kind of what the committed amounts in the campaign are. It's saying like at the end, after the community has come together around these ideas and shown like these are the ideas that we think are important, here's some solutions. And they've started doing the baby steps of funding each other a little bit, then the bigger funder comes in. And because of how Updraft works, when a bigger funder comes in with a larger amount, they get to see, first of all, they get to see like, okay, well, what has the community said? Okay, they like this one, this is the most popular one, this one. And so they easily see it kind of has the community sentiment on it. So they can see like, okay, this is what the community thinks. Cool. Well, let's airdrop to this. So an airdrop is saying like, I'm not trying to earn, I'm just trying to reward everyone up to this point. So I'm just dropping, some of my committed funds. Maybe I look through like the top 10 ideas or whatever, and I just drop these committed funds on there. So that means the people that help surface those ideas get paid for doing that, which is great because that's like a problem with DAOs is people don't get paid for surfacing these great ideas. They usually get stuck. Um, and then with the solutions too, they come through and they see like, okay, well, here's some solutions that I can fund. And so they will go here and be like, okay, I have this much bread, or in this case, it's bread token or whatever. And I'm gonna, I committed 200 million bread. So based on like what the community has been doing, I can see that, this one fits the community's top idea, and so I'm going to fund it. And and maybe they'll fund multiple solutions coming off of one idea, and they'll fund maybe multiple solutions from the top 10 ideas, or however they want to. So ultimately, they get to decide how they distribute committed funds. But the great thing is the community has already participated. It could be the community is already just from those committed amounts and seeing that they'll come in eventually. The community gets really excited and funds a bunch of stuff on their own. They might even completely fund things on their own. And then that bigger funder comes in at the end and just kind of either fills in the gaps or rewards the earlier funder by putting their funding amount after, which gives a small amount also to the other funders. So it's kind of this way for DAOs and other larger funders to find their community and engage their community, get people excited about actually participating in funding and choosing the best ideas and solutions. And then they have a lot less work to do when they come in at the end with their larger amounts, and everyone gets rewarded. So that's kind of like the big picture of what Updraft is supposed to do. I'm gonna get my tokens now so that I can actually create some ideas, and you can see how that works. If any of you guys want to get tokens too, you're welcome to create an account and do like I did and paste your address in the Discord. Let me go back to the Discord. Yeah, so if you paste it in the get for UPD, then you will get airdropped. So let's see. I have to actually manually click a button to airdrop. Eventually we want, there's this thing that I'm building, this Aura thing, is actually a way to, because I work on Bread ID, or is the new verification method for verifying humans that we use. And I want to hook that up to the faucet. I wonder if I have to have that in here. Yeah, so this faucet right here. Because right now, okay, so we have this faucet. It's the pool of UPD tokens, and it's replenished from the anti-spam fee, but we want an automated way. That's what this idea is. Because right now the faucet's manual. Like I have to go and harvest the addresses out of the Discord and then press a button to get money out of the faucet. So it's a manual faucet, which is fine because we only have like 100 users. But if we had lots of users, this would not work. So this is an important thing. And because this is an idea on Updraft itself, anyone can build this. Like actually, Tommy put in this proposal and built a smart contract for this, and he actually got 2 million. I guess this is UPD. Yeah, he got 2 million UPD, 2.5 million for doing this. So some people actually do get paid. There's not a lot of users, so it's getting paid is sometimes it's that chicken and egg problem. But I think as we have DAOs coming in later and creating campaigns, then I think we'll have more people coming in and using it, trying to get that money that the DAOs have committed. So I'm as far as participation, I'm working with. Do you guys remember the DAO, the original DAO from like 2016?
Yes, I still feel the pain.
Still feel the pain. So, anyways, I guess you probably know that Griff kind of resurrected the DAO as they rescued like another $1 million worth of funds out of there, or something like that, some smallish amount. But they rescued some more funds and they used it to create a new the DAO. And right now they have the DAO Security Fund, and what they want to use those rescued funds for is to experiment with new forms of public goods funding to be able to fund security ideas and solutions for securing Ethereum. So I made a proposal that there should be a campaign on Updraft funded by the DAO, and they choose, how much they're going to commit. We're still working that out. Choose how much they're going to commit, but these would be like Ethereum security, like ideas and solutions. So even if somebody didn't know how to build the thing that they thought was crucial to have in the Ethereum ecosystem for security, they could say like, hey, this is a security problem that I've noticed. Nobody's really solved it. It's really important. They put their idea up on Updraft. Other people are like, yeah, that's important. And so they kind of co-join this idea. And then at the end of all of that, some other people are like, well, I could actually build that. So they create some solutions off of that. Then at the end, the DAO comes in and airdrops some UPD on the people who have been supporting ideas and helping to surface them. And so, if you committed, let's say you committed 10,000 UPD, and then they come in with like 10 million UPD, then now you're going to get, like I said, it's usually up to 4x. But you just for supporting an idea that turned out to be valuable and worthwhile, you get a 4x return on your deposit. And likewise, these solutions come in. This would probably be ETH, not UPD, since it's I think that's what they have is ETH. Then ETH would get donated to the solutions. So they would set a goal and a deadline, and the deadline would be after the proposed time when the DAO is going to come through and choose what to fund. But they would set their deadline. Whether or not they set a stake could depend on how much funding they want to attract from just regular people, because I don't think that the DAO is going to care about a stake. But let's say they wanted to, to incentivize other people to make it kind of a slam dunk to fund public goods. It's like either you fund this really cool thing, or if it doesn't work out, at least you get this stake back. And then if it does work out, you get this funder reward. So you also get a share. So you could actually help fund this thing and make money, depending on what funder reward is set at. But really, it's just to make it more likely that the thing this awesome public good that you care about gets funded. That's what these two things, the stake and the funder reward, are, to help kind of make it like almost like game theoretically impossible to lose. It's like, well, either you're going to get this or you're going to get this, or the thing that you care about is going to get fully funded. So somehow you're going to win. So yeah, so that's how it was designed. It was designed to increase participation. It was designed to make it a no-brainer to always fund the public goods, that you're always going to win in some way, and to encourage DAOs to find out who their community is, because the new DAO, doesn't probably have a large community yet. They're probably trying to grow one, but we hope that Updraft is a great way for a DAO to find their community, because they put a campaign out, people stand to earn money, people start getting interested, start looking more into Ethereum security, start thinking more about it, like, well, what is missing, what is important, and they start really focusing on it. They become the community. And so now all these people that we see participating, these are the new community members. So yeah. Let's see. I was gonna send myself some of this EPD tokens. Okay, let me see if anyone else in the meantime has requested any. Nope, just me. Sounds very metallic. Are you guys having problems hearing you? I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I think it's your mic, Uday.
Okay. So I just sent myself some tokens using the manual faucet. Oops, it's gonna ask me to sign that transaction. Hold on one second. Okay. I actually have to yes, so any questions so far? Any other questions? And I understand.
Yes, I do have some questions.
There's a really loud hiss on your microphone. Maybe you could type them in or something.
Hey, can you hear me now? Yes.
I can hear you very quietly.
Okay, I will try. I would like to know a bit about the context, like, what's the problem that you faced, or like, why did you come up with this solution?
Oh yeah, so the problem that, well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So the problems that I came up with, or that I had, was that for Bright ID, I had been applying to a lot of grants, and it's really painful because each grant has their own separate thing that you have to work through, and then and so you're doing a lot of repetitive work begging for these grants. And you could tell that the grant maker, a lot of them hadn't really thought through how much time it was going to take or how they were going to decide. And a lot of times the decisions felt like, well, it's this small group of overworked people trying to make this decision, and they have to process all these different grants, and somehow they have to figure out which ones to read through, which ones to skip. They get overwhelmed with all these grants. And so it's not a good situation for the people applying. It's not a good situation for the people deciding. And I was seeing that a lot of them were trying to get a community together, trying to get some help deciding how to use their funding and decide who gets it. And they've had different ways. Like I looked at how Octant was doing it. I looked at how Gitcoin was doing it, and various other ecosystem funds, how they were trying to engage the community. And I thought, well, I saw some typical patterns. I saw that first they would try to grow a community through all this like outreach and like marketing and stuff like that, just to try to grow their community in the first place. Then once they grew their community, then they had to figure out, okay, well, now how do we engage them? Like, how do we get them to actually vote on projects and actually read through the proposals and help us out here? And without paying them to do it, it's really hard to get the community. So I thought, well, what if we had a way to pay people? Because this is work. Like it's effort to it takes effort to write up a good idea, even if you're not the one implementing. It takes effort to read ideas and say which ones are the best. And so I feel like this is something like, reading through ideas that are interesting to you and helping to determine which ones are the best is something almost anyone can do. But it's work, and you should be paid to do it. So the idea was, how do we reward people for doing this? How do we do it in such a way that it's going to reward the smaller donors and participants the most, and so that you could actually get money back, and you could actually, we'd start to see a shift from the large pools of money to these smaller participants, and as they participate more and do a good job with it, they actually start to grow their own like pool of funds that they can, they start to become, so it starts to become more spread out among more people, which is what we want. So that's what Updraft was supposed to be about. That's what I was trying to say. And I talked to a bunch of people at I got the kind of the push to do it at ETH Denver, not this last one, but the one before. I went there with just the idea. So I guess that would have been 2025, ETH Denver. I went there with just the idea. I was like, hey, if this is my idea. I had it very well sketched out. I went to a bunch of different DAOs, representatives when I was there, and I said, if this existed, would you use it? And they're like, yeah, that would save us a lot of time, like to not have to read so many proposals and stuff like that. They just like surface the best ones for us to look through. So yeah, after getting positive feedback from a bunch of DAOs, I decided to make it. And then after that, after launching it, like I said, we got around 100 users, but I got a lot of feedback of like, okay, like this, you need to make this part better. You need to make that part better. Like, so I've spent the time since launching it, last summer, just fixing all the things that, people said, like all the feedback that I'm getting. So I haven't been trying to grow it too big yet. Like I said, like I have the manual faucet, so it can't, I can't even, I don't want it to grow too fast. I'm still trying to work through the feedback and make it better. But at some point, like maybe some point soon, because like I said, I already applied to the DAO challenge for funding mechanisms, and so if we get accepted into there, then that could be like a huge influx of users. So hopefully we'll be ready for that by then. But yeah, I've just been trying to improve it since then. So let's check I just want to check my, let's see. I want to see if I have some UPD right now. Yeah, so now I got some. So what happened was I went to the faucet and I got some UPD. So now I have some UPD and I can start doing stuff with it. So I just want to show you some stuff I can do. So I want to look at this, stable coins. Okay, see, it says vote to decide which stable coins will appear on Updraft and in liquidity pools. And then you can read the rules. And it talks about stable coins. So this is actually a campaign, but it's a voting campaign, because one of the things that Updraft can be used for as well is just straight up voting. So if you go to here, let me actually open the blog. It's under paragraph, I think. Yeah, paragraph, it's Updraft. Yep. So let's see, where is it? Oh yeah, voting. So you can actually just use it for voting ideas. You can still earn, but the difference between this is at the end, it's not going to be generating solutions. It's going to be just boosting ideas. So the results of the votes are ideas. So in this case, so we actually did a campaign with Song a Day, where we did a bunch of different song challenges where it's like, find the best song that is a food jingle, and then we used it to rank songs, and people would vote. And then if somebody, like if you picked a vote that turned out to be popular, then other people voting after you would cause you to earn money. So by finding the best vote, so it's almost like a prediction market, I guess you could say, but like not. I mean, there's a lot different, but it has some similarities to it. But the fact that you can earn by being early and being right. And then, so anyways, as far as voting, so one of the things that I wanted people to vote on, because I didn't want to like dictate this, I didn't want to be the dictator of Updraft, is I wanted to say like, okay, what network should it be on? I launched on Arbitrum 1, but I didn't want that to be the main network or the only one, and that was just kind of like my decision, but I want to see what other people decide. So I've opened that up, and other people have been voting on it. And so anyways, right now status L2, which I proposed, but other people voted on it, is leading right now. So this is the status network by the Logos people. But one that I was thinking of today is we should really put a Gnosis chain on there. So anyways, another vote that we're voting on is stablecoins. So you saw when you pick the funding token from an idea. So let me find it, from a solution. So let's say that I create a solution for something for this. So I create a solution, and the funding token, right now there's only one token in this list, UPD. But I think for funding solutions, like if you're actually going to build something, even though UPD is fairly stable, just because of how it works, it's not exactly a stable coin. And so people like to get funded in stable coins. So I think a really, really good stable coin would be Bread token. And so I want to add to this campaign, this voting campaign about Updraft stablecoins, like which ones should be used. I want to add that one as a choice. So what I like to do when I'm creating an idea is I like to use, have you guys ever used HackMD? So HackMD, we actually have a partnership with HackMD because we want to integrate the like writing ideas and also commenting on them into from HackMD into Updraft, so that like other people can leave comments on your ideas. I think that's actually, let me see if that's in there. I don't remember if I actually put it in here. No, but but that is an idea that I should put in here, this partnership with HackMD, to make it so you can comment on things. But anyways, so this is something that I wrote today. So I actually have this folder in HackMD where I keep all my ideas. And then what I do is I take my idea. So when we have the HackMD integration, you'll just be able to do this straight from Updraft, but we don't have that yet. But so now what I do is I make it on HackMD, and then I copy the markdown, and then I create a new idea, and I just put it in here. So here we want Bread stablecoin, and then yeah, I can just erase this part. Okay, and then if I want to see what this is going to look like, I can hit the preview. So yeah, that looks good. The link is working. And then, so yeah, so I select the campaign, stablecoins. So yeah, I only have 181, so I'm pretty poor. I'm going to put in, I'll spend 80 on this one. And then it wants me to create a profile. So, okay. And then let's see if this works. This is kind of funny because this is using a passkey. Okay, so I changed this. I don't know if this actually worked. That's funny. Okay, let me go to my profile to see if that actually worked. Okay, let me try this again. Yeah, there might be a problem with the gas stipend or whatever, because I don't see, because normally it would be showing up right away. Yeah, well, I guess that happens sometimes with live demos. Anyways, so
it always happens.
So my idea didn't take. That's too bad. But yeah, I was looking forward to having a brand new idea. But I'll figure out what's wrong with that and put it back up. But yeah, let me see. Let me try one more time. preview. That looks good. Create profile. What? Oh, hold on. Try this again. It seems like it logged me out. Okay. I think it's this one. Yeah, I haven't tested the gas sponsorship in a while, so that could be the problem, that it's not sponsoring the gas. Yeah. Okay. Okay, it looks like it might be working now. Let me try. Yeah, obviously there's some rough patches in here, so I would love people to make some proposals, make some ideas and solutions on here to like fix all the problems with Updraft itself. That'd be great. So that it's easier for people to use. I've been working on it, but as you can see, there's still work to do. But yeah, so I'm still not seeing my ideas. Let me look. Okay, yeah. Oh, well, here we go. Okay, great. So now I do have my idea on here, and so now I can support it. Other people can support it. So like, maybe I change my mind. I'm like, well, I gave 80, but I actually want to give more. So I'm gonna do some more. And now, like, I get this link, so now I can share this, let everybody else know that they should come and support this idea. And then, this one's just a vote, but let's say that I was actually building something, then someone could come along and create a solution to actually implement this, and then we could all fund that solution. So, so yeah, that's basically how it works. And I don't think there's too much more I wanted to share. Maybe I'll drop some links in the Discord channel to Updraft, so you guys can play with it too. Let me think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Also in HackMD, I had some things I wanted to talk about. Let's see. We talked about campaigns. We talked about the faucet. We talked about ideas and solutions. I think
I do.
Yeah,
I do have some questions,
Yeah,
but I don't know if others also. So
yeah, ask me some questions while I'm pasting some links in the Discord. Yeah.
Something that comes to mind is about the token, like UPD. What is like? How do you issue it? How much? And are there LPs, or how does it, like, what's the model there?
Oh, great question. Yeah, thank you for asking that. So it was, let me find it. It might be in the guide. Let me look it up. If it's not in here, it's definitely in the Git book. Okay. So this tells what it's for, but I don't think it tells like let me look on the GitHub, because I think it tells. I want to make sure that I get it right. But basically what happened was, let's see if it says down here. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So there's a fixed supply of 100 billion UPD. It was minted on Ethereum mainnet. Then I bridged all 1 billion over to Arbitrum, put it in a liquidity pool. It started out as a one-sided liquidity pool with USDC. And so all of the tokens went in there, and anybody who has UPD tokens, it's because they bought them from that pool. So here, let me show you the pool. This is on Uniswap. I don't know why it's taking a while to load. That's kind of weird. But yeah, here's the pool on Uniswap. The reason why I don't know why it's not showing it. But anyways, the reason why it's relatively stable at 0.001 is because it's this gigantic pool of 100 billion tokens, and it would take a long time to even move the price of that. So any tokens that you see existing came from this pool. Someone bought them with UPD, and you can buy or sell back into it. And I don't know why it's not showing the transactions right now, but maybe if I refresh. But anyways, yeah, so that's what's being used to fund it. And yeah, so then what happens, like I said, is as it gets used, 1% always gets recycled back into this faucet, and that's where I collected mine from. I collected those ones that you saw me collect today. Every week I can go back and collect more. So that helps people get started and be able to just use it and try it out. And if they're really good and at finding ideas, they can keep making more. And if they're bad, they can go back every week and collect some more from the faucet. But yeah, you can also buy some and you sell it back. It's like some gets like it's mostly locking UPD, so it's not meant to be speculative, really. You're just meant to get some, lock it in to put it, basically say that you want, you like this idea, and then you get most of it back. Like you're always going to get 90% back, in some cases 99% if you're the one creating the idea. So yeah, that's where the UPD tokens come from. But those votes that we showed before, like those are, where was I looking at the votes? Yeah, so there's voting on the networks. So right now they're all in a pool on Arbitrum, but based on these votes that are up right now, like which should we use for Updraft, and also which stablecoins should we use, we might find out that instead of having a liquidity pool on Arbitrum that's paired with USDC, maybe we'll have a pool on Gnosis chain that's paired with Bread, and maybe that will be where like most of the UPD comes from. Like that would be cool. So anyways, I leave it up to everybody to vote on that. So this is kind of like phase one, where it's still sort of like semi-centralized because we have to figure out if we want to redistribute these tokens somewhere else. But like I said, and until they're redistributed, they're in that pool on Arbitrum, and like no one can. I mean, they're just in that pool, so you have to. The only way to get them out is to put in USDC. But in the future, there could be, because they were minted on mainnet, we could basically bridge them to any network and pair them with any other token. And then once that's done, so once we've ended that phase, then it's all like permanently locked. Like we throw away any keys. Like right now, there is a committee that has the power to move some of them to another network and pair them with another token. So you're trusting that we're not going to, like rug the project. But once these votes are all locked in and we decide like, okay, these are the networks we're going to use, these are the stable coins that we're going to use, then it becomes permanently locked. And then from there, just people buy it from the pools.
And am I right to understand that UPD is used to basically vote on ideas, and then other tokens are used to fund builders? Or
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can pick any. So that's the other point of voting for these stable coins. So like I just voted. Basically, I just now there's a 99 vote, and there could be more. Like more people could come and vote for this, and then this will grow. The point of this is that there will now be if this gets enough support from different voters, then now Bread will be used as a stable coin. So now Bread will be in you can pick anyone when you're doing a solution, you can pick any anything from the drop down. You can, but right now the drop down just has UPD, but it could have it will have the stable coins that get the most votes. So you could imagine that Bread will be in here, and I don't know, like other stable coins could be in here. But you can always enter a custom address. Like you can always put in, like you could already put Bread in here. It's just which ones are going to be in this drop down that's on this front end, and then also which ones are going to be in the liquidity pools. So yes, for funding solutions, it can be in any token you want. Probably a stable coin makes the most sense, or maybe a DAO token if like the DAO is doing a campaign. Maybe they would say that you should they're only going to fund solutions that are in their DAO token. That's totally fine. Yeah. So UPD is basically, yeah. Go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah, so like the plan with the faucet is like to keep it running forever, or will it have a deadline?
It automatically keeps running. Like when I did this, I think like whatever it was, I think it was 1. Yeah. So I think 1 or maybe 2 because I did 2 transactions. UPD went into the faucet. That's where they went. So as more people, that 1%, as more people do it, it keeps going back into the faucet, and so it keeps getting recycled that way. So yeah, that faucet will just keep running forever. And UPD is basically like it's mostly just for like showing support and keeping score of like which ideas are the best. So it's not meant to be you can use it as a funding token for funding solutions, but it's mostly just meant to be like the platform token for voting on things. And you know, whether it gets used outside of that, yeah, it can, but we also leave the door open for lots of other tokens. But the reason why we needed one single token, because I thought about like, well, you know, we could just use could we just like use any token for voting as well, for like voting for ideas. And the reason why I decided to narrow it down to 1 is because you want to be able to compare the votes. And it gets really tricky because of like the different values changing all the time for the different tokens. You need some way to like compare the votes and figure out like, well, right now, like what is, and then like, why should a vote change because the token changes? Like, you know, I wanted to vote with this much voting power, but then the price of my token changed and now it's not worth as much as when I voted. So just to stabilize things, to have one token that's used for all the votes. That's why I created the UPD token. But yeah, but for funding solutions, you can fund it in whatever token you want. So I think that's you know, we're up against time, but are there any maybe last questions or? Okay, I'm gonna post the links in this chat. So if you're watching later, just come to the Bread Cooperative Discord. Go to obviously updraft.fund. Go to Updraft also has a Discord. You can, like, we have links to the chat, the guide. You can get UPD from the faucet. And yeah, just mess around, vote for things, look at ideas, create ideas, try it out, and look forward to some campaigns coming up where hopefully there'll be some bigger chances to earn and receive funding for your ideas and solutions. And I think that's it.
Nice. I'd love to see some, or not see, but think of some ways where we could build rituals around people using these types of tools. One thing I constantly hit as a governance facilitator is that people are excited about the idea of using protocol and process. And when it comes to actually doing it, I'm sure you found as someone trying to get users, it's a whole other story. And, you know, in public goods funding, it's often the rituals we build around those things that actually get people really engaged. But oftentimes the people actually like facilitating those rituals and convening the people really aren't resourced well, and it's a very ephemeral thing. So I'm wondering what the social side is as well.
Yeah. I hope that once money comes in through campaigns. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to open up the floodgates yet because I already, as you can see, it's kind of not polished, and I still see places where it should be improved. So I have plenty of work to do without having 100 times as many users. So I'm okay with the number of users we have right now. But I think what will bring more people in is the campaigns. That's what they're for. And so, right now when there's no big funders and it's just like little people putting scraps of money here and there, it's just a toy. It just, you can see how it works. You can see how the funding mechanism works, but it's just a sandbox right now. But once, a funder comes in with $1 million worth of funds, obviously people are going to come and try to get some of that. They're going to figure out what they need to do to get it. And they're going to realize like, oh, this is cool. Like I get to earn money along the way just by participating. And yeah, so I think that's what will bring people, that's what will bring in the users. Until there's money, I don't think, only like nerds that want to experiment will come try it out. But like,
yeah, that's
like there's no money to be earned right now.
Yeah, oftentimes it's just like the nerds at the start who are like, really interested in like proliferating these kinds of tools, and then, once there's actual money in the system, the people who are the nerds aren't as profit motivated, right? So if there's no way for them to use it as a coordination function, they'll often fade back or be completely overwhelmed by the new crowd that's attracted, who typically only really has experience in farming, farming proceeds from crypto projects. So that can be difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I do think that understanding the mechanism behind it, it's meant to be something that once you kind of catch on and you see once you see how to make money, you just like it's pretty easy to keep doing it. So it wasn't built for governance nerds. It was built for everyday people to have an alternative way to earn money in a way that's not so extractive and I think about how outmoded our current way of earning money is. The fact that you have to go through all these hoops of putting up a job posting, and then somebody has to interview for it, and then somebody has to join your corporation, and then you pay them a salary, and it's very it seems like just a lot of overhead, when really what you want to do is you want to see this thing that you care about getting better, or you have certain ideas or solutions that you want to see built. And so I tried to sort of shortcut all of that and say like, well, what if we could just come out and state like, this is what we want to build. So I would love to see products and projects and corporations use it and say like, okay, like, hey, user base, rather than just telling us, here's a message board you can use to say to give us feedback on our product, and maybe we'll get around to reading it. It's more like, okay, put your idea of how you're going to make our product better on Updraft. If other people like it, it'll get surfaced. You can earn money just by creating a popular idea that basically has a lot of upvotes. You can earn money just from doing that. And then if it does become popular, people start to propose solutions around it. And now it's like not this corporation that has to be the bottleneck of we decide what to build. And we're the ones that build it. It's more like, okay, the community just decided that this was a feature that we need. And now that someone in the community is going to build it, and now the corporation could just be like, okay, well, instead of hiring another employee to build this new feature, look, this person, they're already 20% funded, and they already like clearly know how to do it, and so we just we give the rest of the funding, and then they can build it. So I think in the future it makes a lot more sense than these kind of outdated. Like it's really hard to get a job right now. like our process is failing. That old process of like work is really outdated and needs something like this. I think this could actually fit if you think of a world with AI where the AI is saying like, okay, well, I'm an AI and I can build this. Okay, great. Well, I can get paid for surfacing a great idea, even if an AI is going to be the one building it at the end. Or it could actually be the other way around, where the AI has a great idea, but maybe it needs a human to build it because it can't build it itself or something like that. But in any case, I think that this is a more like future-oriented way of organizing work than what we currently have, which is visibly breaking right now.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense to me, you know, especially where like oftentimes the people who are drawn to do XYZ to earn, you know, programs in Web3 especially, like they're not really providing a whole lot of like valuable signal. Oftentimes just because the platform's not really meant to consider or take, you know, like utilize their perspective. But, you know, it's, there's no like value generated back other than extraction. You know, if the people who are farming the funds are using it to pay their rent, which most of us are, right? We can't help that. But you know, like this actually like provides some signal back into the system, which for one doesn't require people to then act on it and understand it, outside of their context. But you know, also like it's a more equitable exchange. You don't end up putting up a campaign and going, oh well, okay, that's you know, that's 300 farmers who just kind of soaked that up by gaming the system, and that's it. You want them to game the system because then they're actually putting forth signal, and you can you know actually get good information out of communities and from particular perspectives that you might not think would be valuable at first, but you know, like still you still end up getting the signal, right? It's a lot of times things are just not targeted right. You know, the 50% of all ad spend kind of myth.
Yeah, no, you got it exactly right. And actually the mechanism behind Updraft is something that I invented maybe 4 years ago, but I didn't know quite how to use it. But so the mechanism is called attention streams, and the whole reason behind the mechanism is with Bright ID, we were labeling people as unique humans, and that's great for things like voting, but we were seeing that gaming the system didn't stop just because we had unique humans. They were still gaming the system and doing it in ways that Bright ID by itself couldn't stop. They were selling accounts, renting accounts, swapping accounts, doing all sorts of things that were like, oh no, you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're not supposed to bribe people. You're not supposed to, but all these things like, okay, well, you know, we solved the bot problem for this community, but we didn't solve the collusion problem, and we didn't solve like the low information voters selling their votes to the highest bidder problem. And so I was like, okay, is there an economic system where gaming the system is, or like you said, like gaming the system is beneficial to the little people, and they're going to earn more that way, and then the big people can't win. Like that's kind of the way it's designed, is like, if you have a big pile of money, the only thing you can do is like motivate the smaller people to participate, but you can't like dictate to them how they're going to participate. So that was like the basis for the mechanism. In fact, I'll share the article that I wrote back then that talks about that in the chat too. But yeah, but then it took a long time. It took like a couple more years, and it wasn't even my idea. It was someone else's idea. They're like, hey, have you thought about taking attention streams and using it for a crowdfunding platform? And I was like, no, actually, because I had just thought of it kind of as a voting platform. I hadn't thought of it for crowdfunding. They're like, yeah, you should do that. And that's kind of how Updraft was born. So
Oh yeah, forward to
It,
reading
it
more.
also reminds me of, I don't know if you are familiar with holographic consensus by DAOstack. Like
Yeah,
DAOstack was one of the, yeah. It
that was a
reminds me of that a bit.
that was a big inspiration for it. So it has several inspirations: futarchy, prediction markets, conviction voting, holographic consensus. So yeah, there's that, and here's the original attention streams kind of doc. That was just a Google doc, but yeah. It's basically like it was born out of the frustration of, okay, well, I thought that we were going to have this, have all our problems solved once we had Bread ID, because now we'd have one account per person, and we, voting would be fair and distributing things would be fair. And it turned out like, nope, there's still a whole bunch of other problems that it doesn't solve. And so I was like, okay, well, how do we solve those problems? So hopefully this works, and we're also it's also a piece of, I don't know if you guys have heard of creditism or Common Planet, but it's kind of
Not really.
it's a piece of, it's going to be a fundamental piece of that, of a way of rewarding people based on value rather than selling. So you can take a system like this, like Updraft, and you can use it to build an economic system around it where instead of rewarding people for, instead of paying people for selling, you pay people for creating value. So the way that creditism works is you have these tokens called credits, and they delete every time you buy something, but they regenerate every time you invest in something that actually creates value. So in Updraft, what that would mean is, like, let's say that I want to create a bakery. Then I can put that solution on Updraft, and I can get funded in credits. When I get funded in credits, then experts come and actually evaluate, like, what is the value that's created after I've spent the credits and used them to actually build the bakery, and it's operational now, and people are buying. So the credits that I spent to build it, and the credits that people are spent to buying bread at the bakery, those get deleted. But if the decentralized circle of experts, which is the Aura thing that Bright ID created, is a decentralized system of experts, ascertains that value is created, and they, as evidence, they can see, like, okay, people are spending credits here and they're buying bread, like, obviously there's value here. So they determine how much value is created, and then based on that, the investors regenerate. The investors that gave the initial credit, they allowed that bakery to be built, they regenerate their investment. So it's not a profit, it's a regeneration. So now they can fund the next round of, like, funding for that bakery. So it's basically just people voting on what they think should exist in the world, value, and then other people ascertaining that the value was actually created. If so, it causes a regeneration event, and then selling is just a deletion event. So that you don't get, because the problem with capitalism is you get rich off of selling, which is a totally broken system. Like, it worked up to this point, got us like where we are now, but it's not going to carry us into the future. It's a dying system, and we need to replace getting rewarded for selling with getting rewarded for value creation. And so I really want Updraft to be a core piece of that.
Have you written about that somewhere, or?
Yes, I have. It's called Practical Creditism, and let me see if it has a link to here. It's just a HackMD post, but I will be posting it on the Creditism blog as well. But this, is that not? Hold up. It should be read. Yeah, you should be able to read that. So Practical Creditism. So yeah, read some of the articles on creditism. I think there's a link to it inside of Practical Creditism, but it basically says, like, how to turn it into how to stop abusing the commons, how to have value creation be the center of all things, and that way you could get rewarded in credits on Updraft for improving your own yard or your own house or the park down the street, or like things that you don't have to sell something to earn credits. And so yeah, I mean that's the way it's got to be, because selling turned into like generating like that's how we have billionaires. Billionaires made all their money from selling. And, selling is important, but it shouldn't be a way to like generate a massive hoard of money and then like wield it against other people. So anyways, I think we can solve that with the creditism. So yeah, look into the creditism. It's really cool. We're going to be launching actually in a week. We're going to be launching creditism through Common Plan, like not the fully fledged system, but the very first components of it and pieces of it are going to be launching in a week. So that's something else to look into. Commonplanet.org is the website for that one. But it all works together. And also, like, I really want to, I think, you were the one that talking about how you wanted to do like some new funding experiments. And I would love to do something like that. Using Updraft, right? Weren't you talking about like
where exactly?
You sent me a message on Discord. I'll find it. You were talking about where was it? Maybe was it? No, yeah, it was you. Oh wait, no. It was Metodo. Sorry, it was someone else.
Metodo is me. It's me.
Oh, that is you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you said, where was it? Incubator-like experiment, and we hope to use Updraft to raise the funds. So tell me, unless you don't have time. I mean, I know we're way over time, but did you want to tell me about that?
No, it's let me know if you cannot hear me properly, but yeah, like also with rather in this space, like we have been hosting different projects, like like oftentimes it's just, I don't know how your team is, or like if you have like actually that's something that I wanted to ask you, like how Updraft is funded or what the business model is there. But so we have had a number of people developing different tools and processes, like to different initiatives, but a lot of them are around like enabling mutual aid or different ways of basically kind of what you are also trying to do with Updraft, or of maybe measuring value or in other ways, or making people like enabling collective action, like not only decided by capital or through money, stuff like that, right? And I think it's like a lot of cool initiatives that should be tried and experimented, and maybe some missing part there is like getting traction or more users and so on. So I think, I don't know exactly how, but bringing these people together and kind of finding ways to support each other and move such projects forward is something that makes sense to me. Yeah. And so I thought that most of them, some of them, like do not have like this money basically, or tokens on them as part of the project, but this Updraft does bring that, which is I think it's interesting, or a nice complementary thing too.
Yeah, definitely. So that could be a campaign, and if you wanted to raise funds, let's say in Bread, I think that makes a lot of sense. So you could commit some number of Bread tokens, whatever you choose, and we create a campaign around that. You could also commit a small number of UPD, and then just as part of the campaign, just buy some UPD. But you don't, I mean, whatever. UPD for the ideas, Bread for the solutions, and then let people decide. Let these people that you are talking about that are interested in experimenting, let them write their experiments. The ones that are good at writing up their ideas, let them put those on Updraft. And then other people who maybe aren't so articulate but know what they like, and when they see it, they can be the ones that support those ideas, and they can they can just use free UPD that they get from the faucet if they want, however they want to do it. But they support the ideas that they like the best, and then that community signal is helpful to figure out where the solutions should be built. And people can start raising funds in Bread to actually build the solutions for the ideas that have been boosted on Updraft. So I think it would be a good platform for a campaign, just to kind of help ideate and figure out what people actually want to spend their time building when it comes to those things.
Yeah, I find it like another thing that we are testing, which I find it similar, but I think like it's like just we just set up a gardens pool.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I mean, not exactly the same. It's like, but because I think like this part of like that Updraft brings of community signaling is like valuable, right? Like but that's another thing that we are testing, and definitely would be interesting to test something that like what you mentioned.
Yeah, great. And I also want to help with the gardens pool. So I have a very specific way that I can help. So I am one of the few owners of Protopian NFT, and we stopped using Gardens V2 for Bright ID because now we're using Updraft instead. But so I have this Protopian NFT that's not being used right now. And if I apply, I've been looking for one to apply. I've been talking to Paul about which one I should apply it to, and he said, "Well, have you looked at Bread Co-op?" And so that got me thinking. Well, okay, I can boost. So what would happen is if I transfer my Protopian NFT to Bread Co-op, it gets boosted to the very top. So now it'll be the top community in Gardens V2, which is, I don't know what exact effect that will have, but I think it'll be cool to be the top one. So that's the thing I want to do, because ours isn't. It's like I said, everyone left. Ours is empty. Where it's just this NFT that's not doing anything. I might as well transfer it to Bread Co-op. So.
Nice, thanks. So you do indeed see like Updraft as an alternative to Gardens for communities
I do. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Yes, I'll tell you why we switched is because the problem that I had with Gardens, I really like it. It's the best DAO framework I had ever used up to that point, but it still had the problem, which I talked about earlier, which is that the community engagement was still too low, and that's fine. It's normal. We have these grand ideas about how we think that we're going to create a DAO, and there's going to be thousands of people engaging and participating. And Bright ID's DAO, when we launched Bright DAO, it was the biggest Gardens DAO by far as participation. I mean, we did have, you can see it in the old one, the number of members was pretty big. It was definitely over 1,000. Let me see if I can find it, but this is the old Gardens. So if I go to the old Gardens and I look at
I think I was one of the participants, actually.
Oh, great. Yeah. 1,500 members. And yeah, so you were one of the participants. That's awesome. See, that's great. But here's what happened over time. So 1,500 people got Bright tokens and locked them in the garden. So they were actually prepared to vote, or they were at least earning money, some money for locking those tokens. But because there wasn't the proper incentives in the other places, like reading proposals or voting on, like actually deciding on which proposal, because you get the voting reward if you just, like, most people just lock it and either put it in undecided or not put it anywhere, and they still get the voting rewards. So the participation was still ended up going down to like maybe 10, 20 people, the same 10, 20 people voting on everything, and that's it. And the same 10, 20 people making proposals. And people would only vote if their proposal, if they had some money that was actually like going to them from their proposal, like they had something at stake for themselves. That's when they would vote. And that's conviction voting. You can make a DAO work that way. And that's what I like about conviction voting, is with just a handful of people, you can pass a proposal that pays the people that need to be paid small amounts, and your DAO can run and it can work. You don't need to like get the whales together to pass a vote. You don't need these large quorums. And so that's what I liked about conviction voting. But it still wasn't the dream of having broad participation from the whole community. It was still just a small number of people just getting a few things done, so what the hope is using Updraft is that you grow the community. And because people see that as they participate, they get rewarded for helping to decide. They get rewarded for reading other people's ideas, proposals, you could call them, and if they back something that gets funded, they get a reward too. So so I wanted to see. So that's why we switched. Is I wanted to see if we could grow our community again. So unfortunately, we don't have funds. Like Bright ID is basically kind of out of funds right now. So we don't have very much activity at all, even on our Updraft. But if we had funds again, I think we would have more engagement than we did when we were using conviction voting. But we'll see if that's true or not. You also asked me earlier about like Updraft. What's the business model? How does it have money? So Updraft business model is just to use Updraft. Like, it is more people use Updraft, then Updraft becomes more visible, and it becomes like, how I was saying, like, we want communities to look at software or other projects or other businesses and tell how they should be improved and then actually build it. Well, that's what I hope will happen with Updraft. If for other reasons people are using Updraft and they're like, well, it has this bug that's really annoying and someone should fix it. So they're like, well, okay, I put an idea on Updraft itself, fix this bug in Updraft. And then other people are like, oh yeah, that's an important bug. It gets boosted, people get paid for putting that bug in there. And then not only that, when someone has the solution or multiple people have the solution, they can raise funds to build that solution. And so Updraft, that's the business model. That is the business model. If people are using Updraft, it becomes visible. People start to see like how they want to improve it. People use Updraft itself to improve it. And who is the team? The team are the people. Whoever can make a solution on Updraft to improve Updraft, that's the team. And so that's the team, that's the business model. So that's not like there's like no investors or anything like that. It's just like use Updraft itself to build Updraft, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's an experiment. We'll see if we get more participation from Updraft than we did from our gardens. But I'm not saying that like everyone should stop using gardens, but we did, just because it got to the point where, like, if we have money again, I would rather see that money going through Updraft and see what happens, and just go full on with that experiment rather than trying, because we already tried the other one. We know it's okay. It's not like I said, it's the best DAO that we've ever used so far, but I want to see what Updraft can do. So yeah, when you get to the point where you want to do an experiment, with Updraft, like some sort of fundraising experiment, and make a campaign, or if you need help, like getting support for that. I'm still trying to learn more about the Bread Co-op, and I'm trying to figure out how to use it myself, and I would like to join it. I would actually like to join all of my projects to the Bread Co-op. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do that, but I will.
Yeah, anytime we are around. Actually, yeah, it would be nice to yeah, like but integrating Bright ID at some point. But yeah, we have every month a session like about bread. So it's happening next week. You are most welcome. Same time as today, same day and time. But anytime, like feel free to ask anything.
Yeah, I'll come and I'll try to, because like I get the impression that Bread Co-op is still very young and probably doesn't have huge amounts of money. So I love the idea of co-ops, and I love the idea of a federation of co-ops. And I look at something like Mondragon, and I think like that's that's what Bread is sort of, at least in some way, inspiring to be like that. Like where it can be, it can really help cooperatives be very successful. So if that's the case, I definitely want to be on board, because that's how I want all of these different, I guess you could say, teams or projects or whatever. That's how they should be organized. They shouldn't be organized like a traditional company or something with investors. That just doesn't make sense to me. A co-op is the right way to do it. But how is your funding right now? I mean, how much funds go to co-ops in the Bread Co-op?
Yeah, so there is 100 million, around 100 million baked. That means around 100 million, $500,000, and the distribution changes from month to month depending on the SDI rate. But I think it's like 3,000 to a bit more, like $2,000 to $4,000 per month that are distributed among 6 projects right now. So the projects get from 200 to maybe $600 or $700 bread per month.
That's awesome.
Yes. So,
yes, I think I'll learn more about how the proposal system works, but getting a little bit of money like that for Updraft, we could do recurring campaigns with it. So like, even if we had just a few $100s a month, if every month we did a campaign that was a few $100s, and we picked a different theme or topic for the campaign, I think that would definitely get people starting to use it. So,
I mean, that's exactly what Gardens is doing. Gardens joined, and there is a Gardens Growth Fund, and they just did that. Like directly, everything that comes from the Solidarity Fund of Bread goes to a fund, a Gardens pool, and yeah, it's up there.
Nice. Yeah, cool. I will definitely look into doing that, and then that way, one of the campaigns could be the experiment that you wanted to do. We could do it through an Updraft campaign and see what happens.
Yeah, there is the process to actually we just created a signaling pool also on Gardens for the community to signal which new projects should join the Bread Cooperative. So, I mean, you can make a proposal there for Updraft, like totally welcome to do that. Still, the process to join is that you get accepted by the current member projects. But this pool is like, for signaling and for the member projects to know what the community wants.
I like that. So there's a signaling pool that where the bread token holders can state their preferences, but then the final decision is made by the current member projects. Is that
exactly
right? Okay,
exactly.
cool. I love that. Yeah, that's very much I think that pattern is really important, and that's like exactly the pattern that I've kind of landed on as like this is how economies should work in the future, where you have like the broad signal that's comes from the crowd, and you always have to respect that and look at that, and then you have the kind of the experts, kind of like the established wisdom of the people that have been in the system for a long time that then take that signal, use it to make their own decisions, and then they're the ones that make the decision. That's how Bright ID works with Aura. That's how Updraft works. Sounds like that's how Bread Co-op works. So it makes a lot of sense to me. That's also how Mondragon works too. Is like there's the already established members vote on bringing in new initiatives, like new startups. So it makes a lot of sense.
I also shared the
like underappreciated. Like it's a huge amount of power that can be distributed very, very easily. It's the easiest kind of power to distribute, but it's so often neglected. We can distribute the ability to set the agenda and hold, concentrated power holders accountable to only operating based on that agenda. And that's actually a very easy accountability mechanism compared to other ones,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, it becomes very obvious if there's a break between what the crowd wants and what the I guess the established kind of the established wise long-term participants, that established group, what they want, and if they don't respect the crowd, it's like it's a pretty simple. I mean, not simple, but it's very easy to see, and it's very obvious what the crowd needs to do. I mean, you can't operate without the crowd. Like without the crowd's approval, you just can't. So like the way
really
that it works,
this incentivizes the crowd to act. Like that's the hardest part, is you can open the door, but getting folks to walk through it is really difficult. Like especially like I contribute to like emerging governance in sport for social development, and it's a huge problem. Like lots of folks are on board with getting community signal and having community accountability, but there has to be an incentive for the regular people who play on a sports field or who use a product, etc., to actually take that action.
100%. Yeah. So like a good example is I belong to a credit union, but I have to be honest. Like when they say like it's time to vote for board members, I'm just like, no, I probably won't do that. But yeah, I mean, just like, yeah, getting the community to actually participate and vote is so important in a meaningful way. And I'm not just talking about like, because I think there's much more meaningful ways, like when you're giving your opinion about like which startups should be able to join, that can be much more meaningful than saying like, well, do you want board of director member A or board of director member B? And then you read through their profiles and you're like, they both say the same thing in their profile, and I can't tell the difference between these two people, and I don't know them. And so having something that's meaningful for the crowd that they can latch onto, that they really have an opinion about, I think is also important. So yeah, I think that what you're doing with the signaling pool makes a lot of sense, because I think those are things that people could potentially read, and the only thing, maybe the only reason they don't read them is just the burden of like just the time that it takes, knowing that they're not going to be paid, knowing that they're not going to get anything out of it themselves. They're just helping somebody else, but it doesn't really do anything for them directly. That makes it hard. Cool. Well, it sounds like we have some plans of things to do, and I'll come back next week at this time, and I'll learn how to join the Bread Co-op, and I'll figure out how to apply with Updraft because I think that'd be awesome if we were a member. So I'll try to apply.
Nice. I actually was thinking of framing, like focusing the session next week on the gardens pool. So very much welcome, and would be nice.
Very cool. All right, I have some learning to do. This is great. Thank you so much for talking to me about this.
Yeah, great having you.
Thanks for sharing.
Very happy that we made it.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Yeah. See you. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you and I. Take care.
Yes. See you, rather. Thanks.